Personal Data Protection Act in the report is erroneous as the
with the exhumation of mass graves and other investigations. Together, the international community can support Sri Lankans to escape from the twin threats posed by persistent impunity and deep inequality. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Je donne maintenant la parole au distingué représentant du Sri Lanka. Vous disposez de 5 minutes.
Mr. President, High Commissioner, 1 year ago, the people of Sri Lanka voted with one voice to bring about a transformation and usher in a new political culture. Our democratic traditions have been upheld through timely elections held in free, fair and peaceful manner. A number of measures have been introduced to promote the economic and social well-being of the people to strengthen reconciliation and ensure social justice. Mr. President, the government has provided comments on the High Commissioner's report, and I wish to address some of the matters raised in it. Our anti-corruption drive has been strengthened with new legislation enabling independent investigations and prosecutions leading to landmark convictions. The government is in the process of repealing the PTA and introducing new counter-terrorism legislation. Amendments are being formulated through consultations to the Online Safety Act. The government continues to strengthen the domestic reconciliation mechanisms by guaranteeing their independence and the necessary financial and human resources allocations. Respecting the right for truth and justice, the government has allocated required resources for excavations at the Chemmani grave site, which are being carried out under judicial supervision. Further consultations are underway with a view to establishing a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal to prepare a national policy and action plan on reconciliation and coexistence. The government has issued instructions to law enforcement authorities to guarantee an enabling environment and sufficient space for civil society. People from all parts of the country memorialize their loved ones without any hindrance. In line with the government's vision and commitment for a reconciled Sri Lanka, a Sri Lanka Day is to be celebrated in the first week of December. Views of the general public and the National Human Rights Commission have been called for the establishment of an independent public prosecutor's office. Mr. President, the Attorney General would prefer indictments only if there is a prima facie case against an accused, and as such, the negative portrayal of the AG's office in the report does not stand to reason. The prosecutorial discretion of the Attorney General is not an unfettered power and is subject to the full force of judicial review. The reference to the amended Personal Data Protection Act in the report is erroneous, as the proposed revisions are not related to exemptions as indicated. The government is committed to advancing accountability through credible domestic processes. Recent decisions by the Sri Lankan courts demonstrate the independence of the Sri Lankan judiciary. The government has afforded full independence to the police, and investigations have been resumed into many long-standing cases, including the Easter Sunday attacks and attacks against journalists. A large majority of lands have been released. Adequate compensation is paid to rightful owners where release is not possible. A cabinet-appointed committee is addressing competing claims and land issues faced by people living in areas identified as state reserves and places of archaeological significance. To build confidence among the public, the government is taking several initiatives, including opening of roads, infrastructure, development, livelihood support, and promotion of industries. Legislation is being formulated to increase wages in the plantation sector, while over 5,000 houses are to be handed over shortly. A bill introducing a right-centered approach to persons with disabilities is to be presented to the Parliament soon. Sri Lanka has continued to engage constructively with this Council, OSCHR, as well as with the regular human rights mechanisms. Mr. President, developments within less than a year clearly demonstrate our genuine commitment and determination to protect and promote the rights and well-being of all Sri Lankans through our domestic processes. Therefore, the government is opposed to any external mechanism imposed on us, such as the Sri Lanka Accountability Project, which serves to create divisions and complicate the national reconciliation process underway in Sri Lanka. We are committed to working towards a country that respects and celebrates the diversity of its people in line with our domestic legal framework. The government will continue to work in close cooperation with the international community through capacity building and technical assistance in mutually agreed areas to further strengthen these efforts. We urge this Council to take note of the progress made within a short period. We seek your continued support to provide us the time and space that is required to make use of this historic opportunity to advance the rights and well-being of Sri Lankans through national processes. Thank you.
Merci. J'invite à présent les délégations intéressées à poser des questions au rapporteur spécial et à formuler des commentaires sur les déclarations. Le temps de parole est limité à 1 minute et 30 secondes pour chaque intervention. Il nous reste le temps pour 3 interventions ce matin. Et je donne la parole au distingué représentant du Koweït au nom du GCC.
السيد الرئيس، أخذت دول مجلس التعاون علما بتقرير المفوض السامي لحقوق الإنسان حول حالة حقوق الإنسان في سريلانكا. السيد الرئيس، تتابع دول مجلس التعاون باهتمام التطورات الأخيرة في سريلانكا ولا سيما تشكيل الحكومة الجديدة وما أبدته من تعهدات إصلاحية والتزامها بتعزيز الشفافية والحكم الرشيد، كما تثمن الجهود المبذولة في التخفيف من حدة الأزمة الاقتصادية وتعزيز الأمن الغذائي وتوسيع شبكات الحماية الاجتماعية وتقديم الدعم للأسر الفقيرة. كما ترحب دول المجلس بتفاعل الحكومة السريلانكية مع آليات حقوق الإنسان الدولية. وفي هذا السياق تتطلع دول المجلس لاستمرار حكومة سريلانكا في اتخاذ الخطوات اللازمة باتجاه الإصلاحات التشريعية وضمان فعالية الحوار للوصول إلى المصالحة الوطنية التي تهدف إلى تحقيق الاستقرار وضمان اعتماد رؤية مشتركة لتعزيز حقوق الإنسان على أراضيها. ختاما، تشجع دول المجلس على دعم الجهود التي تقوم بها حكومة سريلانكا من خلال التعاون الفني وبناء القدرات والحوار البناء. وشكرا سيد الرئيس.
Merci. Je donne la parole au distingué représentant du Royaume-Uni au nom d'un groupe de pays.
Thank you, Mr. President. This statement is on behalf of the Sri Lanka core group comprising Canada, Malawi, Montenegro, North Macedonia and the United Kingdom. We are grateful for Minister Herath's presence here today. High Commissioner, thank you for your report and recent country visit, which underscored both enduring challenges and opportunities for reform. Your office has previously documented gross human rights violations and abuses, including unlawful killings, enforced disappearances, sexual and gender-based violence, and arbitrary detentions. As you noted, Sri Lanka has an opportunity to break from its past and heal deep scars that continue to impact victims, survivors, and their families. We welcome the government's decision to abolish the Prevention of Terrorism Act. We urge the government to turn its commitments into meaningful actions on human rights, accountability, reconciliation, good governance, and constitutional reform. Addressing long-standing impunity is essential to build trust among victims and survivors in domestic judicial processes. We fully support independent and effective public prosecutorial body. It is crucial that investigations at mass grave sites are carried out in line with international standards and that journalists, human rights defenders, and civil society organizations can operate freely and safely. We remain willing to work constructively with Sri Lanka. Thank you.
Merci. Je donne la parole au distingué représentant de l'Union européenne.
Monsieur le Président, the European Union welcomes the OHCHR's report on the human rights situation in Sri Lanka. High Commissioner, as you said after your visit, the country's new government has a historic opportunity to break from the past. We welcome that its leadership pledges a fresh direction, including delivering justice for victims, restoring the rule of law, and eliminating discrimination. It now needs a comprehensive roadmap to translate this commitment into results. The European Union supports this call, reflected in the present report. The European Union recalls the increasing need for transitional justice. We acknowledge the government's efforts, including the initiative to establish an independent public prosecution office. However, we remain concerned over the lack of significant progress on accountability and justice for the victims, especially with respect to the many cases of dead and still missing persons. This situation needs to be addressed urgently and with decisive commitment. Accountability is central to the rule of law and for guarantees of non-repetition. The European Union monitors the human rights situation and remains concerned about the continued use of the Prevention of Terrorism Act, while recognizing ongoing steps forward repealing this legislation. We recall the importance of legal and institutional reforms, as well as the need to bring new legislation fully in line with international human rights obligations. The European Union stands ready to support Sri Lanka in implementing transformative reforms and strengthening the protection of human rights, welcoming its continued cooperation with the United Nations human rights system. Thank you.
Merci. La liste des orateurs est maintenant close. Excellences, distingués collègues, ceci nous amène à la fin de cette séance. Nous nous retrouvons cet après-midi à 15 h afin de continuer le dialogue interactif sur la situation des droits de l'homme au Sri Lanka, puis entamer le dialogue interactif renforcé sur la situation des droits de l'homme en Afghanistan, suivi du dialogue interactif avec la Commission d'établissement des faits pour le Soudan. Avant de clore cette séance, j'aimerais vous permettre une petite remarque. Vous avez probablement remarqué qu'on n'est plus dans la salle habituelle du Conseil, qu'on a bougé dans une autre. J'aimerais profiter de remercier sincèrement tous les collègues du secrétariat, de l'Haut-Commissariat de ONU Genève, les techniciens, tout le monde qui a aidé à cette fluide transition d'une salle à l'autre. Ça vous paraît peut-être automatique, je peux vous rassurer. Il y avait l'un ou l'autre défi. Pas qu'on s'en est rendu compte ce matin. Là, merci beaucoup aux collègues pour tout ça. Et avec cela, je déclare close la première séance de la 60e session du Conseil des droits de l'homme. Merci et bon appétit.